All right, chats. Look, we are going to react to people who outlive insane prison sentence.
Outlived a life sentence. Welcome back, Charlie here. These criminals were sentenced to decades behind bars, but lived longer than their prison
God dang, bro. God.
sentences. From people wrongly sentenced to decades in jail, to dangerous criminals set free after serving more than 70 years. First, we have to look at Ricky Jackson. Can you imagine being in prison for 40 years of your life for a crime you didn't commit? Well,
that's actually crazy. That's actually crazy, bro. A crime that you hadn't committed and you have to be in prison for 40 years, I will be mad, bro. Cause like, mind you, like for 40 years, that's a very long time, bro. That's a very long time. Bro, I better get at least like 10 mil, bro. At least 10 mil.
That actually happened to this man. When Ricky Jackson was only 19 years old, he was arrested for a crime he did not commit. Police said he took the life of a salesman named Harry Franks. The only evidence cops had was a witness statement from a 13-year-old named Eddie Vernon. Aside from that one witness, there was zero physical evidence. Despite this, Ricky Jackson was found guilty. He was initially given the death sentence, but after several appeals, this was changed to a life sentence. Ricky was sent to prison in 1974. He thought he was going to die behind bars, but in 2013, the witness, Eddie Vernon, broke down in tears. Eddie admitted he did not see Ricky take the life of Harry Franks, and instead was coerced into saying this by cops. It turned out Eddie Vernon never even saw the attack take place. This shocking revelation meant that Ricky Jackson was finally released. He was given freedom in 2014 after spending 4 decades behind bars.
That's crazy, gang. That's crazy. And that's actually, like, that actually made me mad because, bro, this guy didn't even do anything, bro. And the fact that he has me arrested for 40 years, that a crime that he did not commit it is actually mind-boggling to me, bro.
But sadly, this meant he was now an old man at the time. Ricky Jackson was given $18 million in compensation. But some say that's not enough for all of those decades lost. But
well, yeah, that's true. That's true, though. 18 mil is not enough, bro. Look, listen, gang. I better get at least like 100 mil for this, bro. The fact that I was in prison for 40 years, that a crime that I have never committed it. 18 mil is not even enough, bro.
Would you take $18 million to lose 40 years of your life? Personally, I definitely wouldn't. Moving on, we have to look at Betty Smithy. Betty Smithy is America's longest-serving female inmate. In 1963, this woman took the life of a minor. For this crime, she was given a life sentence. But while she was behind bars, she managed to escape 4 times, although she was caught again every time. Eventually, she decided to stop trying to escape and instead improve her life. She got educated behind bars and began writing poetry. In 2003, Betty applied for parole. She was rejected, but in 2012, she appealed again, and this time she was finally freed. She spent 49 years behind bars, but was finally made a free woman at 69 years old. Some said she should never have been released.
Bro, I'm not, listen again, like, I'm not even gonna hold you, bro. If I was in prison for like 50 years and come out, oh, my life has been wasted. Like, literally, bro. Like, hold up. And I don't know if y'all can like hear me right. I'm gonna put it again like a little bit. All right, but bro, the fact that I have to be freed when being old is kind of crazy, man. I mean, look, at least the person is free though. But like, you gotta realize, bro, for many years, where you just like slowly turning old, and then like you are finally released, but you're old. It's like you have wasted so much time, and man, I don't know, bro.
Due to her crimes,
it's crazy.
But the judge believed Betty had changed behind bars. What do you think? Is 49 years in prison enough? or not. Moving along, we have to look at Thomas Trantino. In 1963, Thomas Trantino got drunk. He then got into an altercation with two cops and ended their lives. He was arrested a few days later and, in court, was given the death penalty. He was on death row for 8 years until 1971. That was when New Jersey abolished the death penalty, meaning that Thomas's sentence was changed to life behind bars. While he was locked up, Thomas wrote 2 books. In 2002, he applied for parole and, surprisingly, was released. He spent 39 years in prison, making him New Jersey's longest-serving prisoner. Some people, especially cops, were annoyed that he was released. But do you think nearly 4 decades is enough for what Thomas did? Moving along, we have to look at Joseph Ligon. In 1953, 15-year-old Joseph Ligon was sentenced to life in prison. You see, Joseph had got drunk and decided to do some robberies. This caused 6 men to be injured and 2 men to lose their lives. Joseph Ligon was found guilty for what he did and was sentenced to life behind bars. Decades went by, but in
Bro, look at him.
He did, and was sentenced to life behind bars. Decades.
Look at him. Wow. Bro got a big nose though. Golly. Y'all, and like what's crazy too is that I joined I was in like a Discord call, right? And every time I join and I always turn on my camera. Folks be saying like my nose is so big and da. But compared to his nose, he knows it's a lot bigger than mine, bro.
Went by, but in 2016, the law changed. It was ruled that life sentences for juveniles were unconstitutional. As a result, Joseph was released in 2017. He had spent 68 years behind bars, going in at age 15 and leaving at age 83. But here's the surprising thing. Although Joseph was free to go, he refused. He had spent 68 years behind bars and was too used to jail life. So instead, he preferred to stay in prison, which is where he still is to this day. Next, we have...
Why not have a free life?
To look at Charles Ford. In 1952, this man was sentenced to life in prison and spent 64 years behind bars, all for a crime he did not commit. He was not even at the scene in 1952 this day. Next, we have to look at Charles Ford. In 1952, this man was sentenced to life in prison and spent 64 years behind bars, all for a crime he did not commit. He was not even at the scene of the crime. He had allegedly taken someone's life. Some said that Charles was profiled by the judge and jury, meaning that despite the little evidence, he was still given a life sentence. It turned out Charles's lawyer never submitted
within all evidence, they still take this man to jail. That's crazy, bro.
An appeal. He was 20 when he went into prison and was 84 years old when he came out, meaning that he spent a whopping 64 years behind bars. Charles was released into a nursing home as he was too old to look after himself. So while he was released, he basically lost his entire life to prison. When Charles was released, he began crying in court. Next, we have to look at John Bunn. This man is New York's oldest inmate. He ended the life of his wife of 17 and a half years. John Bunn and his wife Virginia got into an argument. Things escalated and John used a hammer to end Virginia's life. John Bunn was given a life sentence for what he did. He was set to be released when he was aged 112, but instead he was released early when he was age 94. He was in order to get medical care. That's because prisons find it too hard to look after people who are so old. But in 2014, at the age of 94, John Bunn passed away. He is still the oldest ever inmate New York has had. Moving on, we have to look at Harvey Stewart. Harvey Stewart is a man who's been to prison many times throughout his life. In 1951, he was given a 10-year sentence for armed robbery. He was released but was soon put back in jail. This was for ending the life of of a man named James Laird. Harvey Stewart escaped prison many times, but was quickly recaptured every time. He was later released in 1985 after serving only 9 years. But only 16 months later, Harvey was arrested yet again, this time for robbing a bank. This guy really does love jail. He served 59 years.
Gotta be like, bro, like the fact that you keep getting arrested after the same thing is crazy.
Behind bars, and was finally released in 2011. This was mainly because of his old age and declining health. He was 83 years old by the time he was released. He outlived all of his family and friends, which meant he had no prison visits in over a decade. When Harvey Stewart was interviewed about his time in prison, he said this: "Imagine that, 60 years down in this damn hole. I wouldn't recommend it."
Yeah, bro. Like, imagine being in prison for 60 years. You just waste your whole entire life, bro.
Harvey's right, he really did waste his entire life behind bars. I think this man is proof that crime is not worth it.
It's
Next,
not, bro.
let's look at John Franzese. John Franzese was a member of one of the USA's most deadly mafias. That is, the Colombo crime family. He soon gained a reputation as one of the mafia's most dangerous thugs. He claims to have ended over 50 lives, but he was never convicted for this. Instead, he was given a life sentence for a different crime. That was orchestrating many bank robberies around the USA. He was given 50 years behind bars. In 2011, John was released at the age of 93. In 2011, at the age of 93, John Franzese was given an extra 8 years behind bars. This was for extortion and loan sharking. In 2017, he celebrated his 100-year-old.
That's crazy, man. Like, bro. Like, just imagine that you're going to jail at a very young age, bro, and throughout many years you just gotten free, but you old, bro. That's a waste of life, bro.
Birthday behind bars, and was released later that year. In total, John Franzese spent over 40 years in the can, meaning that he basically lost half of his life. I guess that's the price you pay when you're in the mob. Finally, let's look at James Moore. In 1962, James Moore ended the life of a 14-year-old named Pamela Moss.
What is with y'all murdering kids, bro?
He was given a life sentence. While in prison, he did various jobs and also got an education. He requested to be released 20 times, but every time the judge said no. That was until June of 2022. He was finally released after spending 60 years behind bars.
60 years,
but he is now in full-time care and had to have both of his
years.
legs amputated. Now it's time for you to make your voice heard. Comment below.
That's crazy, gang. Alright, let's read the comments. Being in prison for decades for a crime you did commit is worse than death. Seriously. That is the most... Yeah, bro. Literally, bro. A crime that you have never committed it. He said 18 million for 40 years in prison after being falsely accused and stuff in the face to that man. I'm telling you, bro. 18 mil? 18 mil. I mean, well, okay, at first I was like, yeah, but then I thought about it. I was like, nah, bro. Like, you need more than 18 mil, bro. But anywho, chat. Oh, wait. Wrong camera. There you go. There you go, chat. Look. Stay tuned to my content, bro. Posting every single day for y'all.